was it 60, episode number 69 now, I believe, of Day and Night Podcast. This is your host, Matthew. We got another good one for you today. As always, like, subscribe, comment if you can, share if you can. We're also on Wednesdays on Spotify, and it'll be reposted as well on YouTube Live. All right, Marcus, what do you got?
No, just hello everybody. Beautiful Saturday afternoon. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, and like you said, I'm interested in this topic because it's a lot of things I gotta say about it. So anyway, just I appreciate you guys. Like Matt already said, like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Definitely that, because I have a lot of friends that tell me they watch but they never leave comments. So guys, we want y'all input. The more the better, because that way we feel like everybody's in tune and we get different opinions and views of how everybody see the subject that we talk about. So that's very important that y'all do leave a comment. And then also, I always start it off and finish it STS. Stay focused, trust your process, and stay consistent. On that note, Matt, let's get it going, baby.
All right. All right. So today's topic is, why should we pay attention to red flags? All right. So I'm just going to give a quick definition what I found, what red flags are. I'm sure everybody know what it is, but like most things, red flags is relative. Some people may look at it in a different way than others. So red flags is basically a term commonly known, used to describe warning signs or indicators of potential problems or dangers. So it's various different contexts of red flags. So I'm going to go over 5 today. So it's going to be financial red flags, relationship red flags, health red flags, and then professional red flags. So I'm going to get into the first one, which is relationship. So hopefully we can get through this today, because there's a lot that can go into this. So just starting off with relationship red flags. So just red flags in general for me. Anybody that knows me, I'm always saying that. Like, that's the first thing, like, that's a red flag, especially when it comes to relationship. And when I say that, I'm not just throwing that word out there loosely. I'm saying it because, like, red flags are real. And if I have time today, I just experienced a red flag, more so dealing with the financial piece of it. So for me, red flags is stuff that we should definitely pay attention to. It always reminds me of one of the scriptures. I don't think it was a scripture, but I just learned this when I was in church, and that thing stuck with me for a long time. And that was always, warning comes before destruction. And I was sitting back thinking about it. I said, everything that we do in life, regardless what it is, there's always a warning before something happens. If you even think about it in the 3D sense, cars, warning signs, or health, stuff like that. There's always something that's going to indicate there's danger coming up. Now, for some reason, a lot of people, and I'm guilty of this, we don't pay attention to red flags. And then because of that, we either blame somebody else and not ourselves. And there's always something there letting us know, look, you need to pay attention to this. This ain't right. So if you continue to go on into it, then, it's going to be repercussions for it. And like I said, I'm going to focus more on a relationship now. So for me, and I say this, it may sound bad, but I don't have any like sympathy or empathy for somebody that's in a relationship. Rather, this may sound really bad. If it's a physical abuse, verbal abuse, cheating, whatever term you want to throw out there, there's always a red flag. There's always something there to let that other person know, okay, is something not right about this person? Is not something right about this situation? We, for some reason, choose to not pay attention to it. Either we try to give the person a pass off, well, this person did this for me. They're really a good person. I can't stand that. Like, I watched all the sports stuff. And the first thing, especially Stephen A., he always say, well, this dude, he's a really good dude. Everybody's not a good person. So even if they do good things here and there, their character more than likely is telling you that they're not a good person. But for some reason, we choose to bypass that, overlook it, and pick out things that they do good, just like we went over as far as with the laws of the universe, laws of polarity. There's always a good and bad side. There's always going to be the good and the bad. So people have good tendencies, people have bad tendencies, but we have to look at which ones are dominating the other one. Are they unbalanced? So if they have more bad ways than they do good, then more than likely that person is a bad person. If you're constantly turning around and they doing something or they've done something to you or said something to you, it's like we can't keep overlooking that and justifying it because one good deed or a couple of good deeds that they may have done. Those red flags are there for a reason, and we have to pay attention to it. And a lot of times it's always after, it's not always, sometimes it's too late. Either something happened and then we like, man, if I would have just paid attention, you know, to what someone else was telling me, or if your gut is telling you something. And for me, if my gut is telling me something, if I got that uneasy feeling and it just feel like somebody hit me in the gut, or I feel like I got chills going through my body, that's a red flag for me. That's telling me, okay, something's not right about this situation. You need to pause or just, keep it pushing. So that's what I have on that for right now. How do you see it?
Well, I mean, you pretty much said everything I was going to say, but I'm going to say it a little differently, and I might be doing a little devil's advocate. It may come across like I might be doing the opposite of what you're saying and actually justifying red flags when you see it. But I agree. I think red flags is a gut feeling, is intuition and being intuitive. The only thing that I have when it comes to this, like you said, one thing I'm adamant about as well is my saying is if someone knows something about anything it may be, and you allow it and you do nothing about it, then you kind of invited that in. You can't really play. I hate using this word, play the victim, but you can't say, like you were saying a minute ago, how you should have, damn, I should have paid attention to my gut or my that red flag. But we all, like you said, myself included, we kind of overlook it, we gloss it, and give the benefit of the doubt and say, you know what, this person may not be as bad, it may be, a pass for this one time, and then it goes on and on and on. And once that red flag, you saw the first one, the second one, the third one, and you still going forward, that's where I say it, kind of like you're saying about the empathy and sympathy. You can't feel bad about that person because you saw it and you chose to ignore it. And there's nothing wrong if you want to make it work for that person and you feel like I'm gonna give them a chance, opportunity. But once you pass that fourth, fifth time and they still, like you said, doing the same thing, myself included, you can only look at yourself and say, you know what? Why am I allowing this if I know and I'm conscious of it? What's the reason for me to keep going forward? Now, on the flip side of this is where I'm a true believer. I think everything is a cause and effect, man. You say the same thing. But part of red flags, where I think we can get kind of prisoner of the time, meaning we too cautious and we overreact sometimes, and everything is a red flag. Like at the least little thing, it's a red flag. And sometimes we jump the gun, and I blame this on past experience, and we all have it, and I call it being situational. Sometimes a situation comes up that's so similar to a previous person you was with, so you're in the back of your mind thinking, oh, here we go again. See, that last person did this, they doing it. Nah, this ain't right. I don't trust it because this is something that I saw before. I'm not even going to give it opportunity. So you're going to pass on that and pay attention to the red flags. So I'm speaking on people that do pay attention to red flags and they jump the gun and no, I can't do it. This is just like before. I'm not even going to give it a chance. Now, some may say, well, that's smart. They doing the right thing. But again, what if that person had a hiccup or whatever they did? It may be excusable to some, may not to others. But sometimes some people make mistakes and they are good people. And it's something they shouldn't have done, but they did it. And they remorseful about it. And they show you going forward that, hey, you know what? It was just something that didn't look right at the time, but this person actually did show me that they are good and they are not a bad person. So that's where I'm kind of on both sides with the red flag. I mean, 100, we all need to pay attention, like you said, because if something happened, and 9 times out of 10 is the reason why it happened, and you overlook it. Yeah, that's kind of who that person is. But again, like I said, on the flip side, one situation to me, depending on what it is, if it's something real detrimental and it's like, really that's uncalled for, is unacceptable, then I would say, yeah, you need to move on. But if it's something simple, and I'm gonna give you an example, Matt, and then I'm gonna go back and let you, give more. Now, this is years ago. I dated when I was in a dating scene, and this happened to everybody. And I think even happened to you. I text you a couple of times where I'm like texting you, but I was not texting you on purpose. It was meant for someone else. And you're like, well, I love you too, but I don't think you meant this for me. And we laughed about it. But sometimes if you're meeting somebody, especially in the beginning, and you accidentally text it's the wrong person and you meant it for someone else, and then she goes, oh, no, see, that's a red flag. Who the hell are you texting? I ain't that person. You a player, or you cheat, or whatever the case, because they feel like, why would you text the wrong person saying this, and that? You should know who you're texting. So why would you do that? And to some, that may deem as that's a red flag. There's something wrong with this person, or this person's not, their intentions are good. So again, I can see both sides. I can see why most people would think that. But that's an innocent mistake that I've done many a times. You would think, well, why don't you have the person's number saved or the name saved? I'm guilty of this. I do not put name behind people's numbers. And you would think after all these years, I would get it right and put the name with the person. And I don't always do that. And there's some numbers that are so similar to each other. When you look, you think you're texting that right person, and it's not. And that's an innocent mistake. Again, that could look at as, come on, man, who does that? But let's be honest, everybody, we all done it at least once or twice. Now, if it's something consistent, yeah, you ain't on point with your stuff, you ain't paying attention, or you may just be that much of a player that you don't even have your game right to where you are messing up. But I'm a firm believer, if that situation only once and occurs, okay, yeah, it's red flag, but sometimes you got to look at it, step back, and say, if that was me, how would I want that be received? So I'm gonna let you go. You looking like
No, I hear you. That's a lot to unpack when you were saying sometimes we can overreact and call everything a red flag.
Yeah.
So I think everything is based off of perspective.
Yeah.
So for me, I look at patterns. So the best way I can think of it is like a car. When you have a car, check engine light come on, or the oil light comes on, it's letting you know, okay, you need to check the engine, because if you don't, it's possibly, can have some type of damage to it. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just letting you know that something from the normal pattern or routine is out of place. So you have to check into it. So that's how I look at it. So for example, I pay attention. I'm really observant. So I pay attention if someone in the beginning is doing something for, let's say, 30 days, and it becomes a habit, it becomes a pattern. Everything we do as people, we do routine. Some people go to work the same way. Some people get up, they brush their teeth, they comb their hair, they eat breakfast. Everybody has some form of routine. I don't care what it is. Everybody has some form of routine or pattern. Now, if someone is doing this and you break that pattern, like I said, I don't believe in happenstance. I don't believe in coincidence. Everything has an intention behind it. So there's a reason why that individual chose not to do it. So if you're doing something that you normally do and you stop, now, if it's something like, if it's the act of God or something happened in the weather or something like that, and it kind of makes the person have to deviate from what they normally do, that's different. But I'm talking about if there's nothing going on to where you can say, okay, I see why you changed your pattern or routine because, X, whatever happened. But if nothing happened where you can see that's why that person changed, and they just changed out of the blue, for me, that's a red flag because like, okay, why all of a sudden now? And if the excuse is, well, I just wanted to, that don't make sense. Like, who just does something just randomly for no apparent reason? you know? So that's how I look at it. Now, I'm just going to use this as an example. This might make a little sense to some people. Like if you're coming home from work and you normally come straight home, but just for whatever reason, you're driving, you see Dunkin' Donuts, like, damn, you know what, I want a donut. And you stop and go get a donut. And then when you get home and the person be like, well, where you been? You normally get home at 5:30. Well, I decided to go get a donut. Well, that's odd. There's something wrong with that. That's a red flag. Now, that is extreme. Now, that's what I can see possibly what you're talking about that doesn't make sense. But if it's something that's not like that, then for me, there's something there that is going to cause me to say, okay, I'm going to pay a little bit more attention to what it is that you're doing. And if it continues, then there's something there. I'm just a firm believer in that there's a reason why people do the things that they do. Okay. So I'm gonna, I hit it back to you and see what you got to say. Then I'm gonna bring you with a scenario and see what your perspective is on it.
All right, so I get what you're saying. Like, I mean, I agree with you, wholeheartedly. But I think what you're saying is on this. I'm a firm believer too. Consistency is a habit. Like I said, anything you do 2 weeks is a habit, muscle memory. But what I mean is in the beginning, like when you first meet someone, you can't base a habit off of something when you're just meeting somebody. So what I mean is when you're just meeting and somebody do something and they overreact and say that's a red flag. I mean, even then you still want to be cautious, like you said. I'm not saying just allow anything and everything to happen to you. But when you in something consistently, yeah, that's anybody. I think would go, wait a minute, you breaking protocol. Like what you doing? But see, like for me, I'm gonna use an example. I always tell everybody I'm very unpredictable. And I hate using signs because I'm not a firm believer in relating everything to my zodiac sign, but certain things I do. One thing they say about Aquarius is we are unpredictable. So I always say I do stuff randomly. And I tell everybody, whoever I meet, I do stuff that have your head scratching that's not the norm. So if I do something, not using that to justify it, say, see, I'm different. So I do anything and everything to make it an excuse. But it is sometimes that's who I am, is I do things just that's not the norm the most. So it's random. So I think depending on the individual, if you meet that person, they already kind of inconsistent. Again, like you said earlier, myself, I'm a firm believer. I'm always going to say this. It's going to be redundant. If you allow it and you say, oh, this person like this, but that's cool, I'm going to still deal with them. You cannot complain about it because you are conscious of what this person and how they are. So I think if a person is doing things that's not to your liking, that is your choice to say, you know what, I can't do this with you. This is too much. It's a red flag. So I'm going to have to go ahead and let you go. And I'm going to tell you, when I've dated and met women, they've told me that straight up. Dude, you do stuff too different. You used to call me this time, but now you're not. And actually, I got into it one time with someone because she was, like you said, oh, well, you usually call me at so-and-so. I'm like, seriously? So if I was late or something happened, I call you at the different time, that's not right because it's not the actual pattern, which I get it. We all get accustomed. And I think that's why I believe it's good, but again, it's kind of dangerous because we don't allow the person to have a hiccup, if you want to call it that, one time because we're so used to complacency. That's why me personally, I don't like being complacent because when something go different, we tend to overreact because it's not what we're used to. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being content on being the same way every day, but if something don't go right, to me, let's not overreact unless, like you said, Matt, if it's a pattern, then of course, obviously, if the person doing the same thing for 4 weeks in a row, different to what they was doing for 6 months, then definitely that's something to tell you something ain't right. But to me, if it's an isolated incident, let's not overreact, even if the person been consistent. Because I've been like that where if she didn't call me or do something at a certain time, I would be the one, oh, you normally respond. What happened? And I went off on them and giving them the third degree. And then come to find out it was a legitimate reason why she couldn't call me. So that's why I have to say that sometimes we got to be understanding to the situation that comes about. And again, if it's BS and you can kind of see when somebody's blowing smoke, then like you said, that's kind of obvious. But yeah, I just firmly believe that in the beginning, I think we're more cautious than ever, especially if you've been in a bad relationship and then everything that person do, not everything, but some things that person do kind of bring you back to the previous. I think it's going to always be red flags. If the person flirt a lot, if the person didn't call you at certain times and you got tired of it, so the next person you meet, that person do the same thing, guess what? That's a red flag because you're basing it off of prior. Now, I know nobody should base previous off of current because you can't judge everybody like your past. I'm being honest. I've done it, and I think some of us have. We may not want to admit it, but we have done that. So that's where we got to be careful on red flags. I'm not saying ignore it, so I don't want nobody taking it the wrong way. I'm just saying be kind of cautious on when we do react to it, certain situations.
All right, so I'm gonna throw this scenario at you. So I'm looking at it as far as like I'm getting a little bit technical with it. I think I look at it from a little deeper sense, and not necessarily just like simple stuff, going to the store, not coming back at the same time, or whatever. So I'm looking at stuff that has like major, deep-rooted character issues of a person. So let's say you in a relationship and you meet somebody, and this person you're talking, and for whatever reason, it's something that's simple, but they take it personal. Now, for the average person, they'd be like, okay, they made it, just took it the wrong way. But that's a red flag because that tells me that that person has deep-rooted issues somewhere, and that's a trigger for them. So anytime somebody has a trigger and it triggers them, then that's mean it's hidden trauma that they haven't released and haven't gotten over. So that can cause that person to could be abusive verbally or physically. And there could be so many underlying issues there that I believe sometimes if it's overlooked, then that's when that person can get a little bit more, get caught up with that person and not pay attention to it because it seems so simple. But in all actuality, it really is a red flag because a healthy person, if you're talking to them and you say something that's not really deemed as personal, or you're attacking them, but they take it as that, it's a red flag because something is unhealed within that person. So that's how I look at it. And like I said, that can grow into something bigger later on, but it's something that seems simple, but it's actually something deep rooted that's bigger than what it is. So, and I'm not trying to make anything personal for anybody. I'm just trying to find examples to where it can, resonate with the individual person. So if you're in a relationship with somebody and you find yourself constantly defending yourself because you say something and that person takes it serious and it's not serious, and y'all constantly going back and forth, do you not see that as a red flag that there's something there that that person needs to heal from and get over before they go a little bit deeper into the relationship? So that's more or less what I'm looking at when I talk about red flags.
Yeah, actually, that I'm gonna put myself out there. Y'all may say you throw yourself under the bus. I don't call it being a little bit transparent because I'm gonna sit here and be honest. I'm guilty of the overreaction. I've been told I'm very sensitive, and you know what, I've been honest lately. I'm like, I am very sensitive, depending on what you're talking about. So I've been in the beginning. I mean, I've met women in the beginning and reacted a certain way. She's like, that was way too soon to be getting mad over something little, and you barely know me. And I took it to a whole nother level. So I can see where, and I had issues within myself dealing with trusting women. So that was a trigger for me when women would say something to me and my reaction was always over the top. So I would say for that woman, that is a flag, a red flag to say, hey, this guy, if he's like this now, he probably will be like this later. But again, y'all, I keep saying it over and over. So if you ignore it and you keep going forward, that's where I feel like red flags that's something that seems like I'm saying is the person's fault when sometimes it's not, but in actuality it is, and that goes myself included. Because I've dated many women, I'm like, damn, I don't believe I'm dealing with this woman, knowing that it was 100 red flags that I'm like, I can't deal with that, and I allowed it to pass on. But then I had to be real with myself and be like, well, you know what? That's who she is. So why am I mad at her when she just being her? I'm the one that's allowing it, and I'm the one that's keep going forward. So I think it is true. We all have, characteristics that's about us that may be a red flag to someone else too. And that person still, I know you said that in the beginning that you can't, look at it, the person's a good person, you can't overlook that or can overlook it. I think, well, it depends on how dramatic that person is with their red flags or if it's something that detrimental. Because again, to me, certain red flags is something that, again, that person could be reacting to the situation. Now, if y'all have a good conversation and they explain themselves, like, look, I'm like this because this, and that. And this is the reason why I act like that. Again, that's your responsibility to go, okay, well, you give me your reasoning, but I still don't accept it. So I choose to say, nice knowing you, good luck, but we're going to have to part ways. So I'm just a firm believer on both of us have to hold ourselves accountable when it comes to those red flags. Because, I've been guilty of allowing a lot of stuff, which is, what is it when you think about it? What's the worst thing in the beginning that would be a red flag? Is lies, lack of communication. I'm trying to think of 5. Lack of communication, compassion. I would say if that person's compassionate with you or not, that's a red flag, depending on how they are. If they seem kind of not standoffish, but just kind of cold in a sense, that's a red flag. And if you ignore that and you look at other qualities, then that's something, again, you put yourself on under the bus for that. I can't think of 2 of them right now, but those 3 for right now. But I mean, again, red flags to me, everybody have them. It's going to sound weird by me saying that, but what I mean is we all have certain things about us that we do to us that wouldn't seem like a red flag to somebody else. And what you think is a red flag is probably, again, something based on your standards, on what you allow in your space, on who you want to be with going forward. Now, I'm not saying by no means is there something wrong with that. I'm just kind of saying this is how I'm seeing it in my perspective. Red flags, we all carry them. I don't think nobody walks around with a clean, nothing's wrong with them. But again, I'm thinking that's based off your perspective and that other person's perspective of what is red flags to you. Because to me, what a woman will tell me that's a red flag, I might think there's nothing wrong with that. And you may think that's just too much. Like me, I have a pet peeve when I text or call somebody and I know that they see the text and they don't respond. To me, that's a red flag. Like, you ignore me, or you just, if you're busy, then respond by saying, not, I hate to say respond, but acknowledge that person and say, hey, I'm busy, whatever. So to me, that's a red flag in the beginning, is this person is the type of person that don't take the time to communicate, and they take it at their leisure. So that's a red flag to me, as the other person may say, I'm not used to responding right away. I usually get back with the person when time permits. So I think red flags depends on your perspective on what you expect and on how you handle things. So
Yeah, so to me, I can't even talk. Red flags are definitely relative. Yeah. So you said something that was important for that individual, that's a red flag. So like when I use it, some people are like, why are you always saying that? That's not a red flag. To you, it's not a red flag, but for me it is. So I don't think there's no definition or detailed red flag that is universal for everybody. Now, someone that's coming up and you getting abused and you constantly slapping somebody, that's a universal red flag. So I would think everybody would look at that. Like if you're out in the public and they cussing you out and yelling at you, I think that's a red flag for everybody. But for me, like you said, it's unique to that individual person and it could be, partly as far as what that individual dealt with in the past. And So it makes you more cautious. I would think not so much overreacting, just cautious to the point to where it's okay, I experienced that. And I want to make sure I don't go through the same thing that I went through before. So I think that's why we develop red flags. So I just want to touch on a comment that KJ made. She said, some people don't like consistency because it puts or it gets boring. I can't even read. It gets boring or predictable. Is that still a red flag to change things up a little bit? Well, to me, if you're actually communicating with the other person you're with, that can't be a red flag. So like, hey, babe, you know what? I'm tired of doing this. Let's try something different. No, that's not a red flag because you're communicating with the person opposed to you just totally just changing stuff. Now, this is what I'm going to use. When I was deployed and I came back, and when I was with my ex, she was trying something different opposed to what we was doing before I left. Now, for me, that's a red flag because if you weren't doing that before and now you're doing it now, so what I supposed to believe that you was practicing on a toy or something, or you was watching some videos and stuff. You just got this inclination, like, you know, let me try that when he get back. You see what I'm saying? So that to me is a red flag.
Right.
You try something totally different, or even stuff like that in the bedroom. I don't know if you have experienced that.
No, you're right. Yeah, like where you learned that move and shit? He wasn't
Exactly.
there doing that shit before. Yes, I get you on that. Yeah, that would definitely be what's up. Like we need to talk. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, why you change up? Oh, I just want to try something different. Just out of nowhere, you just got an epiphany. It's like, you know what? I'm going to try something different. So that's stuff like that is what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
It's like a red flag. Or for
Right.
example, if your lady never shaved, and then just out of the blue, she shaves, and she's going on a vacation, a girl's trip, or she's going on a business trip or whatever, that to me, that's a red flag. It's like, come on, I know you never shave like that. Well, you might shave a little bit, but you know, you might leave a little hair on the top, but now you completely bald. Just out of nowhere, you just decide to shave. That stuff like that is a red flag to me.
Well, it's funny. I'm gonna be guilty. I'm an honest person. I'm gonna be real with y'all. So that happened to me some years ago, where I was the one that shaved, and she was like, "What's up? Why are you doing that? That's different. You never done that before. Who you doing that for?" So we got into it because of that. So I had to think about it when you just mentioned that. And I had to laugh because I'm like, at first I thought she was overreacting because I'm like, really, why would that be a issue? But now years later, yeah, I would see that too. Now, how where is that coming from? What decided to pop in your head to just do that? I mean, it's possible you could be want something different, want to surprise your significant other and be like, hey, what you think? So I mean, but at that time I was totally like, what's wrong with you? We, like I said, we got in an argument, but she was saying pretty much like you. Why would you do that as just random and who does that? So you just took me back when you said that right now. So so I see that basically why I'm saying that. I get that. So yeah, that's
All right.
that's
All right, so we're getting short on time, so I'm gonna move past the relationship thing. So, like I said, the whole gist of this podcast is about red flags, not just relationship. Okay, so the next one I'm gonna move to. I don't know. This one can fall under kind of professional and financial. All right, so this just happened to me. So I had my car, and the check engine light was on. So I took it to, well, I was getting it inspected for the emissions and stuff, and it failed. So you know how to give you the fault codes. And it came up as two cylinders was misfiring, and then one, the EMC was bad. So I called Jaguar up and I talked to the service tech and I gave him the codes. He said, oh, so the two, it sounded like the two codes is for engine, not engine, it's the cylinder misfire. And then the other one, it sounds like it's the ECM, and it just needs to be reprogrammed. I said, okay, well, I'll bring it in. So I brought it in the following week, and they was trying to get up out of there because it was the weekend. So dude was like, okay, I'll just reset it. And this is what I'm saying. This is a red flag. Me being a mechanic for 20 years, that's a red flag because I know as a mechanic, when you reset the code, the only thing it does is basically wipe it out, but the problem is still there. So that's what we used to do back in the day to try to cheat the system. We used to unplug the battery, plug it back up, and then you go to the missions place and it clears the code. So when they test it, it shows no fault codes. So that was the roundabout way to get past the failing the emissions test. So anyway, he did it, cleared the code, and I took off. I drove. In about maybe 10 minutes, the darn thing came back up. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to have to take it in. So I called him back up. It's like, okay, I'm just going to take it in and get it checked. So I took it in last week. And again, me as a mechanic, I know this. So when I took it in, it took all day for them to check it. And I was like, it don't take that damn long. It's a fault code. You check what the fault code was for. It was an engine misfire. So I called the service tech and she was like, yeah, it's going to be a little minute because it's not the actual cylinders misfiring, it's something else. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense because that's what the computer read it as. And then she sent me a text later and was like, okay, it's the, what is it? Comparable variable lift. It's basically, it's like a big cylinder head that opened the pistons and stuff to let the oil and stuff in. So she was like, what it was doing, it was tripping the fault code and was making it look like the cylinders was bad, but it wasn't. And she's like, the part is going to cost you $3,000 to get it fixed. So I was like, that don't sound right. So long story short, me again as a mechanic, when we troubleshoot, they get a list and you go down the list. If this is wrong, then if it's good, then you go to that. You troubleshoot that. If that's good, then you go to that. And if you find something, it could be like a list of 5. If 3 of the 5 shows up bad, then you replace that part. And that's basically what they did. It was nothing wrong with that valve. I mean, that CVV lift. They was guessing, and I had to pay $3,000. So I went and picked it up last week, or this week. Drive 5 miles. Check engine light, back on again. I said, you fucking kidding me? So I said, you know what? Them jokers are freaking over there, incompetent. They're guessing. They had no clue what they was doing. They was just sitting there guessing, trying to find out what it was. So I called the lady back or text her. I said, the check engine light's still on. Well, sir, can you bring it up? I said, I can't bring it up. I'm at work. So I dropped it off. Long story short, didn't get no call back, nothing. So I texted the lady again. What's the status on my car? Oh, it's still in the shop. I said, oh, that I was right. They had no clue. They was guessing. So I talked to the service manager, and he's like, well, what do you want me to do? I said, sir, I have no confidence in you or your shop. If it took them all day last week to figure out that it was supposed to be the CVV valve, but that was not the problem, why I'm bringing it back to you is obviously they don't know what the hell they're doing. And he's like, well, sir, you want to get a second opinion from another shop? I was like, what? I said, no. So anyway, I took it back up there. Again, didn't get no word. So I sent the email. I said, so it's obvious they don't know what they're doing and they're trying to figure out what it is. So I want a refund because that part that they replaced was not the problem. So long story short, it can come to find out it was the cylinder head. So I sent the email to the district manager and he immediately sent it to the supervisor, service supervisor. He called me, was like, I'm sorry, I apologize. And we'll do the best we can. They didn't offer me a rental car, nothing. But the point I'm getting to, not to make this a long drawn out story, is red flags are always there. And sometimes if we don't pay attention to it, it can lead into you losing money, being out of a car or whatever the case is. So that's why red flags are there for a reason. Even though if we want to give somebody the benefit of doubt, we can't because they're there for a reason. We have to pay attention to them because they can save our life. They can save us money. There's so many ways that it can prevent us from going through a happen. So I'm just curious what your perspective is on that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Even in the business world aspect, like you said, or work, I don't think I have any recently to share that would say is a red flag. But I totally agree. Yeah, when you go to work, I mean, go to business, and they tell you things, and I think pretty much with your situation, but with other people, I think it was Keisha. This was about a year ago. She was driving and she had got a flat tire
Mhm.
and she called me, but I was at work. And she's like, Dad, I need you to come help me. I got a flat tire. I'm on the highway. I got Hakeem with me. I need to get to work. And then Keisha the type that she kind of, and not, I ain't gonna say impatient, but she wants results right away. I was like, Keisha, give me your address. Give me time to get there because I'm at work and you clear across town.
Mhm.
So I was like, I'm on my way. Just let me know where you at. So as I'm driving over there, she called me back and was like, Dad, so it's a guy that's trying to help me. And he said he could put tires on my car or take my car and tow it to his shop and then replace the tires
Oh, you, I don't mean to
there.
interrupt you, but you got a story from last year when you went to Phoenix.
Okay, I do.
Yeah, with the car. Dude, to try to rip off Felicia, the mechanic.
I'm trying to remember. What?
When he was trying, was something wrong with the car, and she found some dude that said he can fix cars, and come to find out he didn't know what he was doing.
Oh, that was the car that on the side door. Yeah, I'll get to
Yeah,
that one.
yeah.
But he was actually a scam artist. But this one with Keisha, I'm gonna try not to make it long and drawn out. So as I'm driving, Keisha called me, told me, Dad, this guy's helping me. He says he's a mechanic. He has his own shop. He can help me. And he was telling me, you got 4 bad tires and you need to replace them. Well, obviously one of them bad because she got a flat. But you have 3 bad tires. You need to replace all of them. I can give you a deal. You just need to give me $200 and take me to the shop, and then I replace them. I was like, what? Who is this dude? So I said, let me talk to him because that don't even sound right. So he talked to me like, hey, Mr. Tompkins, so I got your daughter here and she needs help, man. These tires are really bad. Now I'm trying to picture what's wrong because I'm not there. I said, well, what is wrong with her tire? She had a real bad blowout on her left rear tire on the driver's side, but she won't be able to drive it. Her spare in the back is no good. So I could tow her to my shop, give her brand new tires, and then she could be back on the road. I said, well, I'm on my way. I'm already have left work. I can get there. I can help her out. He said, well, you don't have to do that. Don't worry about it. I take care of her. As long as she give me a little bit of dollars, I can get her to the shop, take care of her. I said, well, let me talk to my daughter. I was like, Keisha, I don't know who this dude is. He just nice of him to help you, but what he's saying don't make sense. But Keisha was getting impatient because she's like, well, Dad, you're not here. And the direction she gave me, it wasn't even the right place. So it took me longer. So she was like, I'm just going to go ahead and do what the guy said because I need to get to work. So I got to go. I'm like, are you sure? Because I'll be there. Just wait a little bit longer. No, I'm good. I'm good. I trust him. He seemed like a cool dude. I said, all right, Keisha. I can't make you wait. If you're not gonna wait, you're not gonna wait. So she went ahead, let the dude tow the car. Come to find out, and I was like, "There's something about that don't sound right." And I was like, "That's a red flag." When he was saying the price for those tires, I said, "Keisha, if you could wait, you can wait." But she just didn't. So wind up taking it to the shop. Long story short, the guy tried to sold her 3 bad tires and charged her like $400. And then when she got the car, she got a flat on the other one a week later.
Mhm.
So just point being, like you said about the red flag, even with people that try to scam you, knowing that you may not know nothing about cars, and being that
Mhm.
she was a woman, he fed her some BS line, and he knew I wasn't there, and he rushing her to get to the shop so he can get that money. So that was a red flag for me more so her, but because the time frame and where she was in a hurry,
Yeah.
she wasn't able to. And then she told me, I was wondering that didn't sound right. So she had a red flag too,
Mhm.
but being at that point, she just wanted to get her tires so she can get to work. So she overlooked it, knowing that that gut feeling was like, there ain't no way these tires should cost that much. And then to
Mhm.
put bad tires on there anyway. So he was literally intentionally trying to take advantage of her because she was a young lady.
Mhm.
So yeah, we all have to do it. And like you said, we can't overlook it and think the person's a good person. If it don't make sense, then don't do it. If you
Yeah.
feel that way, then don't do it, because 9 times out of 10, that's what's going to wind up happening. You're going to wind up saying, damn, I should have listened to my gut. So, yeah.
Yeah. So the other red flags are the financial red flags. Now I don't see this as much now as I had before, and that's the ones that was on Instagram and Facebook, and they had the money grab. If you give me $500, I can flip that into $1,000.
Yeah.
So it's not as bad as it was before, but a lot of people got by that. Kiana got by it. Kiara did. I
Yeah.
did one time. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like, red flags are real. And I just think it get a bad connotation because it's more so attached to relationships than everything else. But everything we do in life, we have to pay attention to those warning signs. I think if it wasn't labeled red flags, maybe it wouldn't get that bad connotation. But warning signs are there for everything that we do, and it can keep us out of situations, like I said, that can save sometimes our lives, money, stress, wasted time. There's so many different things if we just pay attention to what's in front of us. And I was thinking back to just about the relationship thing, and I wish we could have got into it. Being that we both have young women as far as our daughters, the red flags as far as if they're dating a young man, the things to look for that's
Oh,
questionable
yeah.
if they're being told certain things. So it's just so much out there that we have to pay attention to. And the next one I want to cover is the health red flag. So we kind of touched on that last week as far as with the health is wealth. But
Right.
was watching something on, but the thing was TikTok or Instagram. But our bodies give red flags as well to also, inflammation, sickness, and stuff like that. And are we paying attention to it? Sometimes people are like, my stomach hurts, or my stomach is turning. Are you okay? Oh no, I'm okay. This happens all the time. I'll be okay. And I hear so many people say that. I'm like, that's crazy, because that's not naturally how the body is supposed to operate. So
Exactly.
if you got bad feelings, or if you're hurting or pain or anything like that, that's the body telling you, like, hey, something is wrong. You need to get it checked out. So even when it comes to health, we have to pay attention to what our bodies are telling us. It's not something, that just happens, I'm just sore, I'll be okay. No, it's telling you that for a reason. It's a warning. Hey, stop doing what you're doing. Check me out, and redirect into a different direction, and not keep doing what you was doing before. So I'm just curious what your perspective is when it comes to health with red flags.
Oh God, yeah. So like you said, we talked about that last week, and it's pretty much reiterating the same thing. Like you said, it's in a nutshell. Your body tells you when something's wrong. And I think with that one, more than the other ones, they all pretty much, I think, or even kill. But with your health, we all have that ego where, like you said, oh, I'm be all right, I'm good. Especially guys a little bit more prideful that, oh, I'm be good, I can handle it, to be toughing it out. Instead of saying, nah, this ain't right. If something ain't doing right, that means I need to pay attention. Perfect example, where I work at, it's a industrial plant. And we do a lot of lifting, moving around. And this guy went to lift his arm, and he moved a certain way. And he was like, oh, my shoulder. I feel this pain. I was like, dude, you got to be careful with that, because you could have strained your CV joint just the way you was moving, which is right here by your socket joint for your shoulder. And he, being a guy, nah, dude, I'll be all right. I had a lot of injuries, and this ain't nothing. And he kept on working. At the same time, he like this, feeling his shoulder. Obviously, he was in a lot of pain, but he wanted to tough it out. Come to find out, the next day he didn't come to work. The next day he come back, and his CV joint, he sprained it, because the way he was moving, he moved too quick, and he moved in an awkward way, and he sprained his CV joint. So now he have to miss work for 3 weeks because of that. And it's a red flag. If you feel something that ain't right and it shouldn't do that, that's a red flag. But I believe with that one more so than others, we tend to want to be tough, and I get it. The situation may be where at that moment in time you have to kind of push through it, but don't ignore it and let it go and just keep going day after day and don't even acknowledge the problem because it's going to just get worse and worse. So yeah, with health, everything with your gut. And it's something myself that I've just come to realize, and I've been studying up on it. Now I know when you take in too much protein, if it's way past your body allowed, your body's going to excrete it out, which means you're going to
Mm-hmm.
pass a lot of gas. That's one sign. But if your stomach is always bloated and you
Yeah.
still pass a lot of gas, that means you got inflammation in your gut and your kidneys are overworking, and that's what's causing you, and you have a lower back problem. See, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people think a lower back problem is just, the way my bed is, and which could be part of it, but a lot of it too is that ties in together with your gut and your kidneys. If it's overworked because the food you're eating is not good and it's causing that inflammation, it's going to cause you to be bloated. You're going to be fatigued, always tired, don't have no energy. You're going to have lower back problems, and you can't wonder why. Those are symptoms that telling you to go get checked to see what is causing that because it's a cause and effect. And if you ignore it, it's only going to keep getting worse and worse. So that's a red flag. That's your body telling you something ain't right. It's something you're eating is not allowing
Mm-hmm.
you to. Now, I'm going to say this and I'm going to leave it alone with the health. And this is kind of personal. One quick
I know
way
where
to
you're going.
know,
You
huh?
stole it from me. I know where you're going. You stole it right out my mouth.
Are you sure?
Yeah. You about to
So,
talk about
I,
mom.
yeah, I was going to say that, but
Yeah.
I was going to say I was going to say mom afterwards, but I was going to say about when you're in the restroom. Now, nobody shit smells like roses. Excuse me, that urination, bowel movement. But if it's bad to where you
Yes,
gotta
they
hold your
can.
breath, that's telling you the stuff you eating is not good, and that's causing your body to. And that's why it smells a little extra. That's your number one flag.
Yeah.
Is your bowel movement. It's same thing when you urinate. If it's real yellow, you know you're not drinking enough water. You're drinking too much soda. You're doing a lot of things that ain't right. That's a red flag that a lot of people ignore. But one, yeah, mom is one. Just God bless and rest her soul. Before she
Mm-hmm.
passed, when we went up there for her birthday, and I know it was just me. I'm sorry. When COVID hit in 2020,
Mm-hmm.
and I went up there to see mom. I think you went before I did, and I went up there for her birthday. And she was complaining, this food is just killing me, and
Mm-hmm.
my stomach is hurting. And I'm like, Mom, you need to get that checked. I'm gonna be all right. There's nothing wrong. I'm always dealing with pain. It ain't nothing I can't handle. God's gonna take care of me. And I'm like, Mom, that don't look right.
Mm-hmm.
You need to take a look. But she was stubborn and adamant about it's something she can handle. And the red flag was there because she was in pain when she was eating. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, you shouldn't be in that much pain just from eating that little bit of food you're eating. But she was number one. You know, like you said, mom is one of the toughest women I know. But a
Mm-hmm.
lot of it's more ego, where she felt like I can handle it because she's mentally so strong.
Mm-hmm.
She was able to overcome a lot of that, but you still got to pay attention when your body is telling you something ain't right. It's a reason
Mm-hmm.
for that. So you can't be too prideful and act like nothing's wrong.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with checking it out and seeing what's wrong with you. So with that, with health, guys, yeah, don't overreact, but just look into it. I will say
Mm-hmm.
that. Let's not overreact, but normally it's a sign. A red flag is a sign of something to come. I love what you said earlier about what did you say in the beginning about
A
your
warning come
analogy on
before
that?
destruction.
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
that was it.
All right. So that's what I'm gonna close with. As far as that's what I was going to say is talk about mom. As far as the I think it was what pancreatic cancer she had.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So not to scare anybody or make it seem a lot more than what it is, but it is real. It's one of the gifts that we've been given as far as red flags, intuition, however you want to spin it. But it's something that's real, and I just wanted to share that with everyone to pay attention, just from the personal experience that I went through with my vehicle. You know, now I'm out of a vehicle because I didn't pay attention to the red flags. And like I said, I look at everything, not just one aspect. So, you know, red flags is prevalent in in every aspect of our lives. And that's something we need to pay attention to. Like I said, we've been given the gift of intuition. And so we need to actively use it. And it can actually save us in so many different situations, whether it's physical, mental, spiritual, or financially. So I'm just going to end there. I want to thank those that tuned in. Thank you, KJ, for the comment. Y'all enjoy the rest of your weekend. And as always, your thoughts become your belief, and your belief becomes your reality.
STS, guys, that's all I'm going to say. Stay focused, trust your process, stay consistent. And pay attention to red flags. They're there for a reason. Intuition, intuitive, whatever you want to wrap it around. But yes, we all get them every day. Pay attention, guys. Enjoy your Saturday. Beautiful out there.
All right. I'm sorry, Christina. You came in a little bit late, but I appreciate the comment. And she said, I believe things that you let slide early in a relationship will sink the ship later. Okay, I definitely agree. And we thank you for the comment. And sorry, you probably came in or chimed in late, but we appreciate you. Until next week. Oh, next week we have a guest. So we'll be on Friday. I think it's 6:30. And yeah, so I'll put that information out later, but we'll have a guest next Friday. So until then,
all right.
Peace out.
And we out.